Hey guys, it's Tripl-L coming in for Black Clover chapter 217. As you guys know, I follow the series, I just don't cover it on the channel. Maybe that'll change in the future as I figure out a better schedule. Maybe even Tuesdays. Tuesdays are like the freest days. If you guys are okay with the chapters coming late, I could do them on Tuesdays, more or less. Probably when it's worth talking to, or worth talking about. Anyway, yeah, I hope you're having a great day. As you can tell, this chapter is worth talking about. Chapter 217. I was reading the Viz Media translation. So yeah, this chapter, man, this chapter got such an emotional response from me, and it also got such an emotional response from people. It's actually really crazy to see how many people just got upset about this. This was... Alright, here's how I see this. In terms of inciting that emotional response from the readers, I think it was really good. In terms of construction, I don't know if it was that good. The reason being that when you look at the chapter, on a technical note, I think you can make the argument that the author specifically wanted to get to a situation where you absolutely hate this man. Because when you look at the speed with which this chapter occurs, you know, the first page, automatically you come in and what do you get? Asta's already in chains. No talk. And you know, that does add to just how unreasonable this whole thing is. But I do feel to some degree, when you look at last week's chapter and how it jumped over to this week's chapter, I do feel it's fair to say that, yeah, the author wanted to get here quick because he wanted to get the plot going quick. That's kind of consistent with Black Clover's pacing, but it did feel a little bit jarring from a technical point of view, and I do think it opens up some questions when it comes to the chapter itself. But before we get to the technical points, let's talk about the chapter itself and what was happening here. So given how people reacted to this, and given how well the author was able to incite emotion, I think it's fair to say that he did a relatively good job at making intolerant people. And it's not that hard to make an intolerant character, but to get this kind of reaction, that is worth worth applause. It was very unreasonable. This character is exceedingly unreasonable. The peanut gallery is extremely ignorant. A lot of things here were very annoying. Also, finding out that Asta's village is at the boundary of, what did he call it? The Forsaken Realm or something? Let me check real quick. I want to make sure I get this right. Yeah, the edge of the Forsaken Realm. Not a fan of that at all. It was just intolerance all the way through. And like, one thing that you should notice here, like as you're going here, like the big message is like, there is no justice here. This guy is not actually justice. You know, he has this little power where he has the scales and they're tipping and all that kind of shit and all like that. And it's like, if that power actually was like a truth detector or it reflected justice properly, you know there is no way this would occur the way it did. It just tells you that this guy is ultimately just not acting on justice. He's just acting on what's convenient for his rhetoric, right? And that's what makes it all the more infuriating. This guy is acting on his own faulty knowledge. And you know, like you have the characters on Asta's side here, pretty much just Nero, pointing it out as prejudice. But it's disgusting to see how far this goes, where you have a character with a power that involves scales, and even still, it's just pretty much, it's effectively an illusion. These scales don't mean anything. Although, like, there is that little bit of talk that the scales show Asta's true nature, that he's simple and impulsive, and it's like, what exactly do the scales do? Because they're not a proper reflection of justice here. They're not really. They're probably just like little things that the guy does to make it look like he's judge, jury, and executioner. You know, like if you see this guy walking around and he has scales, you're like, oh yeah, man, that's the justice man. And it's like, no, not really. He's just making a bunch of weights. He gets to determine how much weight there is. It's actually, it's kind of annoying because like in this situation, you could have hoped that this guy would have realized that Asta was telling the truth. But here, when you see that the guy is just full on in his own little pile of rhetoric, it's a little bit more infuriating. And then you go into like bringing out the child, and then the child's about to be attacked. No one's taking into account the nuance because they don't believe that there is no devil, and then she's just getting burnt alive. I mean, mind you, people pointed out that he was probably doing this to push Asta into a particular spot, but at the same time, you're launching fire at a child, and the people who are watching are like, oh yeah, this is okay. Even if this guy knows what he was going to do, the nobles that were watching this are not good. And it's like, alright, we need military rule right now. The Magic Knights need to take this over. This is ridiculous. These people are the root of all problems. We need to end them now. And it's actually really interesting that in a arc that was premised by the threat of exterior forces, we have to deal with this guy. Man, that is infuriating. So again, good job on the author there for inciting the emotional reaction. Making someone that is so unreasonable is a very quick way to get into the reader's hearts. And this is going to be a very high point for Black Clover readers, because it's like, in a lot of ways, this guy's worse than the elves. Just because of how unreasonable he is, and also because of how much sway he has in society. This is the worst kind of societal evil. A guy who says justice, who dishes out justice when you know it's not actually. Now, the big thing that I wonder going into this chapter, I wonder, why did they let Asta go alone? Whose idea was this? Like, it might be very possible that in the next chapter, all the Magic Knights show up and they deal with this situation. Or they might not. And, even if they do show up next chapter, I still gotta, there's still questions I gotta ask. Like, why did Asta go by himself? Where are the other nobles who are part of the Magic Knights in this whole giant peanut gallery? Where are they? Are they hiding there, waiting for their optimal moment to take over? If they are, that's cool. But still, I feel there were a lot of weird parts here. And, one of the biggest ones, why is Nero in her human form? Why would she go in her human form? There is no need for her to be in her... No, think about that. What value does she offer by going in her human form? It only makes the situation worse. Nothing would have changed. Well, no, things would have been better if she just stayed in her bird form. I don't think they asked Nero to come. Right? Because why would they know about Nero's existence? Nero's existence was only revealed in a very specific place. Right? Why did she go there? The next big thing is why did they let Marie get caught? That's my next big question. Why did they let her get caught? Why did the Magic Knights not jump in and pick up all the people who they knew were possessed and just hide them? The Black Bulls would be excellent at hiding people. Well, I guess their headquarters were just left there. The point is, because of how quickly the chapter comes about, there's a lot of questions that are just left there. And if this is just a fight setup for Asta and what is the guy named Damnatio? Kira? Well, let's call him Kira. If this is just the setup for a fight between Kira and Asta, I'm going to be very disappointed. I'm going to very much question why exactly the Magic Knights didn't come in. But given that this is such a fast-paced chapter, most likely the author did a fast-paced chapter like this, because if he gave information about what the Magic Knights were actually going to do, it probably would have not made this as exciting. So this may be a case where the lack of information is absolutely important into informing the suspense of the situation. So going forward, what I'm looking for, I want good reasons as to why the Magic Knights dropped the ball here. Given that there is such a lack of information, I want to believe that there are good reasons, and that the reason they were not revealed was because they needed this guy to be at his peak arrogance or peak just absolute D-bag, right? If we had the information, this probably would have been easier to process. But I'm hoping that the lack of information is specifically to make this situation work as well as it did. What do you guys think? I'm pretty sure that the majority of the Black Clover fans really find this unreasonable. And I think really when you have a child being shot at while being watched by a bunch of people who think it's okay to shoot at a child, it's yeah, even though it was effectively Kira's way of pushing Asta. There's a lot of things going on here, man. It's rigged. It's rigged. Everyone's going to be upset when they see such a rigged situation. Good on the author. Really good chapter. Really appreciated it. It's very fast paced. There's a lot of critical information I think is missing, but that critical information may be important for the suspense of the situation, and it will be revealed later. I'm going to hold my judgment until then. If this just turns out to be just a flat fight with no one ever addressing why they did things the way they did, then we have a problem. But I honestly doubt that's going to happen. The Black Clover writer is good. he's pretty legit when it comes to setting up like long-term payoffs. So I have no real concern in that regard. So guys, let me know what you thought down below, and thanks for watching. This is the second video that I made today. Today I'm hoping to do Isekai Cheat Magician and work on some other videos, and maybe oh yeah, definitely Shokai no Soma. Soma's final chapter is coming out today, and hopefully that'll be soon. I'm waiting. The spoilers are already out. I'm very excited. Anyways, everyone, thanks for watching, and until next time, I hope you have an absolutely great day.